You know that feeling, right? You're trying to read a page in a book, and you get to the bottom and realize you have absolutely no idea what you just read. Or you walk into the kitchen with a mission, only to stand there completely blank. That feeling of your brain being pulled in a million directions at once? It's universal. But what's actually happening when our focus just vanishes?
I mean, it is a constant battle, isn't it? Our attention is so precious, and it feels like everything is trying to steal a piece of it. Our phones, our to-do lists, our own random thoughts. It's become so common that, as a culture, we've kind of developed a shorthand for it.
You know the one. When someone says they can't focus, the first thing that pops into most of our heads is ADHD. It's become the default go-to explanation for having a scattered brain. But what if that's just a tiny piece of a much, much bigger puzzle?
Well, for a mental health professional, jumping to that conclusion is like looking at a single street sign and thinking you know the entire city. That symptom of distraction is just one landmark on a huge, complex map they have to navigate.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at that mat. We're going to follow the same methodical path a clinician takes to figure out what's really going on. It's a process of careful investigation called
Differential diagnosis. Now that sounds super technical, but the idea behind it is simple. It's not about making a quick guess. It's detective work. You follow the clues, you rule out the suspects one by one, and you see what you're left with. And this is a kind of map they use. It's a decision tree from the DSM-5, which is basically the guidebook for mental health diagnosis. Now, I know it looks incredibly complicated, like some wild flowchart, but really it's just a series of questions. Let's walk through it. So, where does this journey start? You might think it's somewhere deep in psychological theory, but it's not. The very first stop is the body itself. Before anything else, you have to find out if something physical is messing with your focus. This is question number one, right at the top of the map. Before digging any deeper, a clinician has to ask, could this distraction be a direct result of a medication, a drug, or some other underlying medical problem? If the answer is yes, then the investigation immediately heads down this path. I mean, our brains don't just float around in our skulls, right? They're connected to everything else that's going on in our bodies. So what kind of things would they be looking for here?
Well, it's a pretty broad list. It could be side effects from a prescription. It could be intoxication or withdrawal. It could be a state of delirium from an illness. It could even be a sign of a neurocognitive disorder. The key is the root cause is physical.
Okay, so what if the answer to that first big question is no? Let's say all the physical and substance-related causes are ruled out. Where does the map lead then? Well, it takes a turn into a whole new territory, our emotional world. This is the next major fork in the road. The question is this lack of focus happening during the extreme highs of what we call mania or the deep lows of depression? This is a huge deal because our mood can absolutely hijack our ability to pay attention. And what's really fascinating about this is you have two totally opposite states causing the exact same problem. In a manic episode, your thoughts might be racing so fast you can't grab onto any single one. But in a depressive episode, you might have so little mental energy that just trying to concentrate feels impossible. So this path leads to conditions like bipolar disorders or major depression. And in these cases, the distraction isn't some separate issue. It's a direct symptom of what's happening with the person's mood. All right, so we've rolled out physical causes. We've rolled out major mood episodes. What's left? Well, the investigation actually goes even deeper, sometimes onto an entirely new map, one that explores things like stress, anxiety, and trauma. So this is kind of the final stretch of the journey. We're digging into how things like stress and anxiety affect our focus. And this is also where we finally find those conditions where inattention is the star of the show, the primary issue. So if a clinician has followed the map all the way to this point, the questions get even more specific. Is the person's mind constantly replaying a past trauma? Is it just consumed by endless worry? Or could something else be going on? This part of the map is so critical. It helps a professional sort out if a brain is distracted because it's on high alert, from anxiety or trauma, or if the brain has a core fundamental difficulty with regulating attention itself. And look, right there, that's the path that finally takes us to ADHD. So this final list of possibilities includes PTSD, anxiety disorders, even just an adjustment disorder from a major life change. And then, yes, after this whole methodical process of elimination, we finally land at ADHD as one potential cause. among so many others. So we've traveled this whole winding path through this whole diagnostic map. What's the big picture here? What's the point of all this? Well, it really comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea. Just by following this one map, we've seen more than 13 different possibilities that a professional has to consider when someone walks in and says, I can't focus. That's over a dozen completely different stories that could be hiding behind that one single symptom. And that's the real takeaway. Distraction is a signpost, not the destination. It's a clue. It's a flag that tells you something is going on, but it doesn't tell you what is going on. It could be pointing to anything from your physical health to your emotional state to your life experiences. And why does this all matter? Well, the point of showing you this isn't so you can go out and diagnose yourself or your friends with these flowcharts. It's to appreciate the incredible care and complexity that goes into a real evaluation. It shows why just grabbing the easiest, most common answer isn't always right, and why getting the correct diagnosis is the key to getting the right help. It really makes you think, though, doesn't it? If we can so easily oversimplify something as common as distraction, what else are we doing that with? What other common symptoms, like, say, fatigue or irritability, do we jump to a quick conclusion about when there could be a much deeper, more important story waiting to be understood?